Valley Talk on News Talk 1580 KGAL.
Welcome to Valley Talk. Well, the good news as of this morning is we didn't get, at least in Albany, we did not get the freezing rain as had been forecasted the previous days before. I think the storm system arrived just a little bit later and gave it time to warm up. So thankfully, roads were not as slick. At least they were not as slick here in the Albany area as we had feared they would. So hopefully you had a good commute to work and to school and wherever your points were headed this morning. Hey, good morning. We're having a very interesting show, Valley Talk-wise. I'm Dave Adams, the host, and we have Hasso Herring, former editor with the Democrat Herald, in the studio once again with us. Hasso, glad to have you with us.
Well, good morning, Dave.
We have a very interesting show. On the phone line now, we have Bill Drummond, who was selected to succeed Steve Wright as the administrator of the Bonneville Power Administration. He's with us on the phone, and we're going to have him during the first half of the show. Second half of the show, we have kind of a very story that we've been following since summer. In our ready room right now is Mark Fuller and Valerie Walulis. Now, Valerie gave Mark one of her kidneys, and that happened back, I believe it was July. Was that about right? Happened in July. And they're both here in their studios. They both look very good. And we're looking forward to hearing their story. And that will be the last half of Valley Talk today from 11:30 to noon. We're giving away also Quiznos Taste on Us, $10 gift certificate we'll give away at the end of the show. You can sign up by sending me an email, dave@kgal.com, or call the station at 926-KGAL or 451-KGAL. One lucky person will get a $10 gift certificate, good for anything at Quiznos in Albany. Sub sandwiches, drinks, chips, whatever. Just have a good time. Thanks to Dale and the crew at Quiznos in Albany for being part of the Valley Talk team. And thank you for listening to Valley Talk today. Again, hope your drive, your commute this morning was safe. Bill Drummond, head of the Bonneville Power Administration. Bill, thank you for being with us on the program as well.
Well, thank you. My pleasure.
So let's talk about the future of the Bonneville Power Administration. Boy, there's a lot of things that I know I want to talk to you about. Dams, fish, future of BPA, energy, green energy, and so on and so forth. So if we could step back and take a broad look at the BPA as an agency going forward, what's the first thing that moves to the top of your button list there?
Well, the first is basically preserving and enhancing the assets that we currently have. Right now, we market power from 31 dams along the Columbia and Snake Rivers, also up the Willamette. We market the output of a nuclear plant, and we also purchase power from some wind generators. We market that power to primarily the publicly owned electric utilities. Folks in your area, for example, like Springfield Utility Board, Emerald People's Utility District, the Eugene Water and Electric Board, the rural co-ops around the region, and we sell that power to them at cost. We also have about, almost 16,000 miles of high-voltage transmission system in the region. A lot of those assets are aging. They're showing signs of their age. We just celebrated our 75th anniversary last year. And so one of my most important tasks, and task of the agency, is to make certain that we keep those assets functioning at a very high level. And so we have a real significant capital investment program to invest in the dams and the transmission system to make certain that they're running at a very high level and provide the reliable and low-cost power that people have come to expect from us.
What do we see about rates for Bonneville Power Administration? Are you expecting to see rate increases from whatever, maybe it's infrastructure improvement, maybe there's other things driving it that we haven't talked about yet. What about rates future? Are we expecting our power rates to go up considerably?
Well, I'm not planning on considerable increases. We actually have already gone out and to our customers and started a process for approximately a 9% rate increase on the power side, about a 13% increase on the transmission side. And the drivers of those two increases are associated with the investments in the infrastructure that I described earlier. Rebuilding. We're involved, for example, in a really big rebuild of Grand Coulee, the third powerhouse up at Grand Coulee Dam. We've got other projects at different powerhouses on the main stem, and we have a really big transmission investment program. So the investments that we're making in the infrastructure, we don't actually own the dams that we market the power from. Those dams are actually operated by the Corps of Engineers or the Bureau of Reclamation, and we repay them for the costs that they incur for doing that. And those costs are going up in part because of maintenance associated with the projects. And then thirdly, we've seen a big increase in, or we're seeing an increase in the costs associated with the nuclear plant that we have, Columbia Generating Station, that we market the output from. One other driver that's actually hurting us, or has hurt us a bit, is the fact that we market a lot of power to surplus power that comes as a result of good runoff. And we use the revenue from those power sales to help reduce the costs to our customers. Because of low natural gas prices, we've seen that revenue fall pretty significantly, and so we don't have the revenue credit to apply against our costs to the same degree that we had in the past. And as a consequence, we're seeing some cost pressure from that. So those are really the four drivers.
Bill, this is Hassel. Is there some way of estimating what portion of your revenue demand is attributable to, say, fish conservation or, in general, environmental factors, including the development of green power?
Yes, we have. I'd have to go back and look, Hassel, honestly, to give you a specific number. My recollection is that roughly 20 to 25% of our total costs are associated, for example, with fish and wildlife recovery. An additional amount associated with energy efficiency, but not nearly of that magnitude. But I'd have to go back and look at it.
Does the development of wind power in the Northwest region have an effect on the kind of revenue you need to have?
Well, it does, but I'll say that we believe that we've put in place a rate for integrating wind onto our system that recovers the cost of supplying the resources necessary to do that integration. So we think that we're recovering from the wind developers, the cost that they're causing us to incur.
The developers of wind power who pay that cost, or is it ultimately the consumer of in the Northwest?
Oh, you're absolutely right. Ultimately, of course, the developers will turn around and then recover that cost from the folks that they're selling the power to. Now, it's important to understand that actually the majority of wind power that's been developed in our system is actually exported out of the Pacific Northwest and goes down to California.
Does that involve your transmission lines?
Oh, yes, sir. Absolutely.
I mean, as I understand it, the difficulty with wind power, one of the difficulties has always been that it's produced in a place and used in another place far away. So the transmission is the big issue. And is that something that you have been able to handle, or are there new challenges coming ahead?
Well, we've been able to handle it to date, and part of it is because we've had a very robust transmission construction program. So we have, let's see, I'd have to go back and look at the exact numbers, but off the top of my head, we've got roughly $500 million in transmission investment per year planned over the next 10 years. We've had one of the most aggressive transmission construction programs in the country and partly to help incorporate the wind development that's occurred in the region. Now transmission is really part of the challenge that wind has presented to the system. The other part is just the intermittency of the wind, being able to forecast when it's going to come on and when it's going to drop off, and being able to provide resources in order to follow that increase or decrease. For example, we can have the wind on our system can go up by over 1,000 megawatts in a 10-minute period. That's equal to the load of the city of Seattle. So it's like having a city of Seattle come onto your system or leave your system in a 10-minute period. And but for the fact that we have this wonderful hydro system with its incredible flexibility, we would have a very difficult time being able to do that.
Given the factors you just mentioned, have we gone too fast in wind power development?
Well, I wouldn't say we've gone too fast. I will tell you, having watched the development, it has certainly increased at a much faster pace than I think anybody really expected. Now that said, we're seeing a real slowdown in the developers coming to us with new projects, largely because a lot of the utilities in the Northwest, they're subject to renewable portfolio standards, where they have to buy a certain portion of their power from renewable resources, have met their requirements or are close to meeting their obligations. And secondly, the state of California has decided that instead of importing a whole lot of renewable resources in order to meet their renewable standards, they want the utilities down there to develop in-state resources. And so that has really slowed a lot of the interest in development of big wind projects here in the Northwest.
Some of the wind projects in the Northwest, I think probably all of them, have benefited from various government incentives and subsidies and so on. Do you think it is likely that some of these projects are now going to sit idle?
Well, I don't know about idle, but certainly the tax incentives have been a big part of their financial structure and have encouraged them. Now, the production tax credit, which many of them have relied upon, was just extended by a year as part of the fiscal cliff legislation that passed the Congress. And so for new projects coming on, or new projects that we're contemplating development, there's that avenue for them. However, again, you have to be able to sell your power somewhere, and I think we're just seeing the market in California slowing down a bit, and as is the market in the Pacific Northwest.
One of the main reason, of course, for the development of all that alternative power, or renewable power, I should say, has been the fear of climate change over the last several years. Now, it turns out that in the Northwest, the trend of temperatures, for example, has been trending downward for, I think, the last 10 or 15 years, more than that, perhaps. Have we been going off in the wrong direction here?
Oh, I'm going to leave it to the scientists to decide whether or not climate change is anthropogenic, man-made, or not. But I will tell you that nobody in the utility industry is thinking that we're going to have fewer renewables or that we should invest less in energy efficiency. And so for our agency and the customers that buy power from us, we are truly blessed with this incredible renewable, low-cost hydropower system as a base, and we have been able to invest a huge amount of money with our utility partners over time in energy efficiency projects that has allowed us to be one of the leaders in the nation, in fact.
You refer, of course, to the Northwest Hydro System.
Yes, sir.
Those 31 dams that you mentioned that you market the power from. And over the last, 20 years, there have been occasional debates about whether some of those dams ought to be removed. Now, let me just ask you, do you think any of those dams can be removed?
Well, the ones that normally get the most attention...
The ones on the Snake.
Right,
Yeah.
the 4 Lower Snake projects. And all the analysis that's been done to date, certainly the analysis done by the Corps of Engineers suggested that it was not of significant biological effect to really warrant their removal. And in addition, you had analysis done by the Northwest Power and Conservation Council, which described the number of thermal plants that would need to be constructed to replace the output, that you don't get to just replace it with additional investments in energy efficiency. And so as a consequence, there was actually a very negative greenhouse gas impact resulting from removal of those 4 Lower Snake projects. So from a biological standpoint, from the standpoint of the production of additional greenhouse gases, we just don't think that it's appropriate.
So you think that debate is over for now?
Oh, no, sir. I think there are still people who believe that that's an appropriate route to go, but I'm not one of them.
You know, the Interior Department has been very keen, of course, on the removal of 4 dams on the Klamath River. Mm-hmm. Is that something that the BPA has been involved in at all?
I don't believe so.
I mean, those dams are, of course, owned by Pacific Power, and it generates the power of their markets itself. But since you're an agency of the government, I figured you might have some opinion on whether that's a good idea to remove those dams.
No, we've not been involved, to my knowledge, on any of the Klamath projects, and so no, I'm not. I can't really speak knowledgeably about that. You know,
changed in a direction a little bit. Last year, the BPA rebuilt a high-tension power line between Eugene and Albany. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of a big project, but it went relatively quietly. Did you run into any snags there?
Not that I'm aware of. That one was pretty quiet. We've had projects that have attracted a lot more attention, such as the I-5 project that we're looking at constructing between Longview, Washington, and Portland. Some other projects have attracted more attention. We do have another rebuild of 2 transmission lines from Salem to Albany.
About that, when is that taking place?
We're just starting the sort of public outreach on those projects. In fact, we had a meeting just last week down in Monmouth about that. So, we're just beginning to engage on that. That's a wood pole replacement project.
On the Eugene to Albany line, one of the issues was the removal of a whole bunch of trees, if I remember right. Although when you look at the line now, you don't really see that any trees have been removed. Is tree removal an issue in the Salem to Albany rebuild project?
Again, not that I'm aware of. I can tell you that the tree removal around the system is always controversial. We've been, subject to some outages in the past. Because back 10, 15 years ago, because we were not as aggressive as we needed to be on our tree removal and vegetation management. And so, we are a lot more aware of what of the need to focus on that. Now, having said that, I will tell you that we also have employed some really fascinating technologies involving lasers and flying over the transmission right-of-ways that allow us to pinpoint exactly the danger trees that we need to be aware of. And so I think we are a whole lot more. It's not just a question of running down the right of way with a chainsaw. We're a lot more selective about the trees that we need to take out.
Well, from what I've seen on the Eugene to Albany line, I think that job went very well. You really can't see that anybody has clear-cut the area.
Well, thank you. I will pass that along because that's not a compliment we get very often.
Hey, Bill, I've got a question about the future of electrical needs. We're looking at a lot of people are wanting us to be more energy self-sufficient. We have, as you mentioned, a good supply of hydropower. As we look at the increase in the demand for electricity from, for example, the BPA system, when we're putting more load on, for example, there's a push towards going electric cars. A lot of people would like to see us develop that. What does our future look for growth in demand, and what's it going to cost, and are we going to be able to meet that?
Well, we see, at least at the moment, and I should really say that the Northwest Power and Conservation Council, which is a 4-state compact that does regional planning, will be coming out, I believe, in 2014 with a new regional 5-year or 20-year regional power plan. So we're going to be looking at the results that they come up with in terms of forecast of load growth. My recollection is we're probably in the 1% to 2% range for load growth in our Bonneville service territory for the publicly owned electric utilities we serve. The number one resource that we are looking at to serve those loads is energy efficiency. That is, without question, the cheapest resource available to us. We've got great programs with our utility partners going forward, and so I really expect that's where the vast majority of our resources are going to come from. Now, having said that, I'll tell you that we are also, as a region, becoming much more concerned about the capacity on the system. That is, that ability to meet the instantaneous peak, or also to be able to ramp up or ramp down in order to meet the renewable resources that we've added to the system. So, I expect that we'll see proposals to perhaps build some additional gas-fired combustion turbines, but I'm particularly interested in resources on the customer side of the meter, that is employing smart grid technologies. For example, maybe to control heating and ventilation, air conditioning systems on commercial buildings, or employ residential customers' water heaters as a mechanism to help us follow the ups and downs of the power system. That may end up proving to be a whole lot less expensive and certainly less environmentally intrusive than constructing major generating projects.
You mentioned smart grid systems. What about customers that are, for example, invest in things like solar arrays in their homes, and so essentially the meter can turn backwards? So in other words, when they're providing more power at their home through a solar array than they're using, then it flows back out on the grid, provides you power, and provides them some income. What about the future there?
Well, we're seeing as an industry, particularly in the desert Southwest and Los Angeles area, huge impacts on those utilities from people doing exactly that. However, it can cause some real challenges for the utility. For example, for San Diego Gas and Electric, they expect by 2020 that their system peak will move from 10 o'clock in the morning until about 8 o'clock at night, and that's because during the morning people will have invested enough or installed enough solar arrays that'll actually drop their peak. However, they're going to have to be able to ramp up generation at a much faster pace than they currently do from about 4 o'clock in the afternoon until 8 o'clock, when those solar arrays obviously begin to produce less power, but they still have to meet their system peak. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
You've talked about the very thing that, of course, has been the trend over the last 20 years, trying to make people a little more independent of the utilities and all that. But this issue of standby power, which is a big issue in wind development. When the wind drops, you have to replace that instantly. And one of the drawbacks I always thought of wind power and of this home solar array kind of business when clouds pass over the sky is that the standby power has to be so instantly available that it always burns energy anyway. So it is not, it seems to me, quite as energy efficient as we all like to think to have these alternative systems. Am I right on that, or am I just completely wet?
Well, what it does is it creates some really new challenges for the utilities. I mean, as utilities, we've gotten pretty good after 100 years of dealing with the vagaries of people flipping on a switch or running an electric motor or turning on some other sort of industrial process and figuring out how to deal with that uncertainty. What we are still working our way through is now to have not only that uncertainty still in place, but also to have the uncertainty of generation, and to a much greater degree when you have variable sources of generation. So that's creating new challenges for us, but we're also investing in technologies that are helping us get greater visibility on the grid. For example, a system that was developed here at Bonneville allows us to look at the grid to a much greater granularity than in years past. Someone described it as the difference between a doctor looking at an X-ray versus having an MRI, that you have much greater visibility. It's going to produce so much data, in fact, that for a while we're going to have trouble processing it. Our systems are going to have to catch up. But that's part of our obligation as the operators of the utility system.
Bill, we're going to have to cut it short here. We'd like to have you back again on the show, and there's lots of things we can talk about in the future. Before we interrupt, Hasso, was there one more question you want to ask?
No, that was fine. I was going to dwell on that same subject again, but I think we'll let it drop for now.
Okay. Bill, we'd like to have you back again on the show in the future. There's a lot, as we are all trying to figure out how to make this country more energy independent, and at the same time be able to pay for our power bill and buy groceries at the same time, and make all of this work in this. A lot of people refer to it as the new normal, and you mentioned one situation here where the changing means of generation and the quantities of generation and how it's generated, incorporating onto the system, is creating a new set of variables that you're still sharpening your pencil on. So. Yes,
sir. But that's what makes it so much fun.
There you go. Thank you for being with us on Valley Talk today. I look forward to having you again on the program in the future.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye now.
This is Valley Talk. I'm Dave Adams. Hasso Herring with us today. We also want to remind you to make sure to sign up for Quiznos Taste on Us. And it's a $10 gift certificate we're going to be giving away at the end of the show. You can sign up for it or put your entry into the contest via email. Send an email to Dave with Quiznos Taste on Us. In the subject line, the email address is dave@kgal.com, or call the station at 541-451 KGAL or 926 KGAL, and we'll put you into the drawing for Quiznos Taste on Us. Next up on Valley Talk today, we have Valerie Walulis and Mark Fuller. Interesting story here, and Valerie, in July of this last year, gave Mark one of her kidneys so he could survive. In fact, there was a headline in the Democrat Herald that said, Mark said, and I'm looking at him right now as I say this, that he owes Valerie his life. And we're going to talk about that. Very interesting story. Hear that when Valley Talk continues. Stay right with us.
Going out to lunch at a nice restaurant can be expensive, and the big portions put you more in the mood for a nap than a productive afternoon. Mama's Fine Italian to the rescue. The small appetite senior menu is just right. Anyone and everyone is invited to order from the Light Appetites menu for lunch from 11 to 4 p.m. with tasty entrees beginning at only $3.95. Why go hungry or go anywhere else for lunch? Eat healthy, eat light at Mama's. Closed Sunday and Monday, so make the most of Tuesday through Friday and join your friends at Mama's for lunch. Dinner only on Saturday. Mama's features charbroiled steaks every day. Make reservations for dinner or pick up a bottle of fine wine. Seating is limited, so please call for reservations. 541-451-5050. That's 451-5050. Mama's Fine Italian and Wine Shop on West Oak between Main and 2nd in Lebanon, across from the Big Blue Napa Auto Parts building.
Lebanon Warrior basketball fans, Lebanon's next game against South Albany Wednesday evening will be moved to 920 KSHO. The Pac-12 TV network and their now dominant sports wisdom has moved the Oregon Duck game to Wednesday evening, a key game for the Pac-12 leading Ducks against Washington State. It will be here on KGAL with the pregame starting at 6 p.m. So Warrior and Rebel fans, take note. The Lebanon South game will be Wednesday night on 920 KSHO, game time scheduled for 7 o'clock.
This is Shannon Jones of Jones 5 Auto Sales on 9th Street in Corvallis. If you're looking for a quality pre-owned car, truck, van, or SUV, then I invite you to stop on by and see our selection. Every vehicle is AutoCheck certified for clean titles and reported accidents and must pass my extensive vehicle safety and performance standards. With upfront pricing 24/7, 365 days a year, you can shop and compare. Remember, Jones 5 Auto Sales on 9th Street in Corvallis or online at jones5autosales.com. You'll love the way I do things.
Corvallis Independent Business Alliance encourages you to support your community.
Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Wheat, rye, barley, and oats could be making it sick. Get educated about the possible health problems associated with eating gluten. Call 541-602-1065 or go online at glutenfreern.com. Let their experience save you time, money, and suffering.
Chenard's Nursery, Florist and Landscaping in Corvallis has a lovely variety of fresh flowers and creative gift ideas to suit any occasion, style, or budget. We can help you pick out the perfect bouquet this Valentine's Day. You can order online or call 541-929-6939. Chenard's Nursery, Florist and Landscaping in Corvallis.
Time to reproof your rain gear at the Rain Shed. Do it yourself with help from the experts at the Rain Shed Outdoor Fabrics and Supplies. Patterns, fabrics, insulation, hardware, zippers, new creations, buttons, webbing, notions, elastic. Be inspired. It's all fantastic. Online at therainshed.com. Call 753-8900.
Thank you for supporting locally owned independent businesses. Your voice of reason in the West is Hugh Hewitt, weekday afternoons at 3 on Smart Talk 1580.
Welcome back to Valley Talk. Very interesting story next. It was quoted in the local paper. Mark Fuller is saying that he owes his life to Valerie Walulis. Both are in our Valley Talk studios today. This is kind of one of those love stories with a good ending. And thank you for being with us on Valley Talk today.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
So, Mark, first of all, let's go back to the beginning a little bit here. Tell us what happened to your kidneys. You have diabetes.
I've had diabetes since 20 years old, and it progressively destroyed my kidneys from 20 years old till now, and I'm 53.
So both kidneys?
Both kidneys.
Mm-hmm.
So you needed a new kidney. How did this come up in your conversation? Did you go to Valerie and say, well, the doctor says I need a new kidney. Can I have one of yours? I'm sure it didn't go like that.
No, not at all. We just, we were always looking for a kidney, waiting for a dead kidney donor. And there's a lot of people out there waiting for a kidney right now. We couldn't do it real fast, and Valerie just one day offered her kidney to me.
So, Valerie, what's going through your mind here? Obviously, they're waiting for a donor. And so in the back of your mind, are you thinking, well, I've got two. You can have one.
Well, yes. I saw him deteriorating over the 3 years he was on dialysis. And, the subject came up that, he's a good candidate for a transplant. And the family members, it didn't work out. There was no match. So I knew I had the same blood type. So I stepped in and got my blood checked, and it was right. And
so the surgery happened last July.
Yeah, July 27th.
Mm-hmm.
And everything went well. We
Yes.
tried to get you on the show right afterwards, but you were both recovering.
Right.
You're looking good now, by the way.
Thank you.
How long have you known each other?
At least 20 years. And
Now-
we had a little break in our relationship for a few years, and then so we got back together in 98.
So
We've
you're
been together since
in-
98.
Okay, so you've been together since 98. You're in a relationship.
Uh-huh.
Right.
What has this meant to that, the romantic, the relationship that you have as, significant others to each other? What has that meant to the fact that inside of his body right now is part of you. That's got to do something to the dynamics of a relationship.
Well, like I said before, it's hard watching somebody you love deteriorate. And when you know you can step in and help them have a much better quality of life, it's not a hard thing to do. And it's just freed up our life a lot, not being on dialysis.
3 times a week, and it's really hard. And I watched a lot of friends go down in dialysis. Picked up by the ambulance every other day or so.
Okay, Mark, let's talk to you. You're the recipient of the kidney, and like it says here, I owe her my life.
Right.
What do you think of when you look at her now? Obviously, you're in love, but there's a debt that there's something she gave you to literally give you life.
I believe she's a very special person, for one. There's not too many people out there who would do that, and I couldn't believe it when she offered it. It's something we thought about for a long time.
Did this come up during dinner, or how did this?
Well, no, it's just sort of an ongoing process, where you just kind of think, well, I will be tested. I mean, I knew the doctors had said he could do well with a new kidney, but it's either, you get a live donor from somebody you know or a relative, or you wait for a dead donor kidney. Mm-hmm. So, I just stepped forward to see, well, I will be checked, to see if I would be a match.
How are things going now?
They're going really good as far as health-wise. They're going a lot better, and I can eat more stuff than before. I'm actually can pee now, which is really a blessing, because when I was on dialysis, I couldn't get rid of all my waste products, and that was on dialysis. That's why they do it, to help you live.
So, Valerie, are you generally one of those people that really likes to help others and pitch in and just give a hand when needed?
Well, I suppose,
she definitely is. Different than anybody else.
I'm in childcare, so, that's kind of giving a lot of myself on a day-to-day basis.
You've seen Mark's quality of life drastically improve.
Oh, yes.
And so what does that mean to you? You're one of those people that likes to...
Well, it's very gratifying. I saw life come back into his face, his color improve, his diet improve.
What would you say to the critics? Well, I've got a couple questions for you, Valerie. So, obviously, we have 2 kidneys. I guess we could liken it to having a spare tire. Now you have 1 kidney.
Yeah.
And some people who are thinking of a kidney transplant or being the donor might think, if something happens to me, I don't have that spare kidney anymore. Is there that fear that goes into it as you're a donor?
Oh, yes. They coached me a lot, and I talked to a lot of advocates at OHSU, and, we discussed that. So my body has to be in good shape, for one thing. That was a year-long process going through the testing. Mm-hmm. And then I have to take very good care of myself now, since I do only have 1 kidney.
Is there anything special you have to do? You were a healthy person, you had 2 healthy kidneys, now you have 1. How does this change your life?
No, I don't notice any physical difference.
Do you have to change your diet or anything like that?
Nothing at all.
Any physiological differences to you? I mean, how your body's, do you have to go to the bathroom more, or just...
No, there's no change. I mean, after, my recovery was 6 weeks, and then after that, I just start gradually getting my strength back from... Mm-hmm. Recovering from major surgery, but...
Can you tell you're missing a kidney, or do you...
Oh, no.
All right.
No.
Hey, we need to take a break here. We're talking to Valerie Walulis and Mark Fuller. Mark received one of Valerie's kidneys in July of this last year, and the happy couple is here, happy and healthy, and we'll continue on Valley Talk here in just a moment. Stay right with us.
The Osgood File, sponsored in part by Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people. Visit AutoOwners.com. This is Charles Osgood. Once again, Forbes magazine has named Google the best American company to work for. A lot of people would like to. Our CBS News colleague John Blackstone showed up not to apply for a job, but to find out why so many do.
Welcome to the good life at Google.
He'll show you around after this. If you haven't heard yet, postage rates are going up again. You know how crowded the post office gets whenever that happens. So do what I do. Use Stamps.com. Buy and print official U.S. postage right from your own desk using your own computer and printer. Whenever postage rates change, Stamps.com updates them automatically for you without charging you a fee the way those postage meter companies do. So you'll always get the exact postage you need for any letter or package the instant you need it. You'll never have to go to the post office again. That's why I've used Stamps.com in my office for years now. Try it yourself. You'll see how easy and convenient it is. Right now, Stamps.com has a special offer since you listen to the Osgood File. It's a no-risk trial plus a $110 bonus that includes a digital scale and up to $55 in free postage. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the home page, and type in my last name, Osgood, O-S-G-O-O-D. That's Stamps.com, and enter Osgood.
John Blackstone is not trying to recruit employees for Google. Honest, he's not.
This campus in Mountain View, California offers employees comforts, privileges, and perks that workers at most other companies can only envy. But what may seem like luxuries are actually good business, and Google can prove that because the company studies everything it does.
We try to bring as much analytics and data and science to what we do on the people side as our engineers do on the product side.
That's Laszlo Bach.
Laszlo Bach heads Google's People Operations Department. That's HR to you and me. Google's talent for data mining gives him detailed information on what pays off.
Then there's David Ratcliffe, Google's Vice President for Real Estate and Workplace Services.
He's in charge of creating the perfect environment.
We call it our living laboratory. When we think about our facilities around the world, we're really looking for little opportunities for engineers or for creative people to come together.
The rooms Google has created for those creative people include ski gondolas in the Zurich office, a pub-like meeting room in Dublin, and a sidewalk cafe in Istanbul.
Does your present job feel like you're on a treadmill?
Google offers treadmill desks as an option. Research has shown that walking while you work can be good for your health.
The company maintains 1,000 bikes on campus and gives workers their own garden space to grow vegetables.
If all that wears you out,
should we whisper out here?
I think so. No workplace is complete without a nap pod.
No wonder 2.5 million people send Google their resumes every year. The Osgood File. Charles Osgood on the CBS Radio Network.
A story of rivalry for love. Swan Lake. Odile tricks Prince Siegfried into being unfaithful to the White Swan Odette. Powerful and passionate dancing exposes the sorcery of Von Rothbard, the evil mastermind behind the mystery, with museum-quality costumes and the perfection of classical choreography. Swan Lake, February 1st at 7:30 p.m. at the LaSalle Stewart Center OSU campus. Reserve tickets now at 541-682-5000 or visit eugeneballet.org. In person at Gracewoods Music and Sid Stevens Jewelry. Don't miss Swan Lake.
Stay tuned for a $1 million bottle giveaway, and you'll also receive free shipping. Do you have troubled skin, acne? Well, we have great news. With Proactive, your acne can heal, and you can prevent new breakouts from happening. We're going to let 1 million people try Proactive risk-free, get 2 free gifts, and free shipping when you call right now. You heard it. This offer won't last long. Visit getproactive.com or call 1-800-614-4102. That's 1-800-614-4102.
Wearing glasses with Crizal lenses can make a big difference in your vision. Neither the sandstorms of the Mojave Desert, nor the dust and dirt of a Texas rodeo, nor the glare of the bright lights of Broadway can keep you from having the clearest vision possible. For no-glare lenses with great water, dirt, dust, scratch, and smudge resistance, choose Crizal. Live life in the clear. That's C-R-I-Z-A-L. Crizal. Ask for them at your eye care professional.
The news you need, smart talk, and just enough sports. That's what you'll get from News Talk 1580, KGAL.
Valley Talk, I'm back again. We're talking to Mark Fuller and Valerie Walulis. In July, Valerie gave Mark one of her kidneys. They're both in our studios today talking about the journey and, you know, the fact that Valerie has helped to bring life back to Mark once again. One of the challenges, though, is financial. This was an expensive process. What was the total bill?
Oh, it was $90,000 alone for the operation.
And most of that was covered by Medicare, Medicaid?
Medicaid and some OHSU help. Come a lot from my family.
But you could still use some help.
Oh, definitely, yes. It's hard getting back on our feet. I mean, I lost 6 weeks of work that, you know, wasn't covered. So.
I haven't been working since the operation until I get past the stage, the renal stage or whatever they call it.
So if people want to donate, how do they do that?
We have a fund at Wells Fargo Bank. That would be Mark and Val Kidney Fund. And I think you can just go to Wells Fargo if you wish to make a donation to that.
Mark, what did you do as a vocation?
I was an auto body and paint person.
Are you able to continue doing that at some point?
I would like to, yes.
What's keeping you from doing that?
Right now, my stamina and, right now the cold weather doesn't do me much good.
No, it doesn't.
I have no immune system at this point. That's what they've told me.
Are you going to be able to go back to that vocation?
I'm sure going to try.
What are the doctors saying?
I really haven't told them much about that. I'm going to have to discuss that with them, obviously.
So what are the doctors saying about the overall case here? Are they pleased with the progress? What are you hearing from them?
Well, I get calls from the people at OHSU, and they said I'm doing really good. And I'm peeing and stuff, so that's the main thing. Like I said, if anything goes off, they call me and tell me what to do to adjust it and make it right. So it's been a really good program.
Now, during the break, we were talking about the empathy you have for other people that are waiting for kidneys. Mark, you know what it's like to sit on a dialysis machine and pray for a kidney, and you're looking at your people you probably had friendships with.
I've made a lot of friends, and I've seen a lot of them die, and it just broke my heart. We had one lady that liked to do art and stuff, and I did the same thing, and the next few days she was just dead. And I think I still have some of her art stuff she had let me borrow when we were in class together.
What would you like people to consider doing? Would you like people to consider doing like Valerie and just donating a kidney from them, healthy kidney?
Definitely, that would be a help.
Yes, I think people need to be aware that there's a big need for that and step forward. I mean, I think the whole process, after going through a year of testing and everything I went through, I mean, if it turned out that Mark wouldn't have been able to go through the surgery, I think I would have still given the kidney to somebody. I mean, you go through all the process and you just, each step of the way, you realize you're a little bit closer to helping somebody. Fortunately, I could, help a man I love and see his life improve.
You would have still donated the kidney
I believe so. That's what
someone.
Because that went through my head, I mean, I went through lots and lots of medical testing and psychological testing. I mean, everything you can think of. So, I thought I certainly wouldn't let that go to waste.
Talking to Valerie Walulis and Mark Fuller here on Valley Talk. One more commercial break. We'll be right back and finish up with the show. Don't forget to sign up for Quiznos Taste on Us. Send me an email, dave@kgal.com, but Taste on Us on the subject line. Or you can call the station, and the phone numbers are 926-KGAL or 451-KGAL. Quiznos Taste on Us. We'll be right back.
When you look out across the Willamette Valley, you'll see plenty of banking choices. Willamette Community Bank is here to give you an option that's pretty unique, like no other, in fact. Hi, this is Sue Kalina, Relationship Manager. Willamette Community Bank provides an alternative to large national and regional banks by offering customized financial services and local decision-making to benefit local people, local families, and local businesses. How many banks can say that?
Willamette Community Bank, service like no other. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's a crab feed!
The Greater Albany Rotary Club presents for your enjoyment and as a fundraiser for the club's local and international service projects, the annual Crab Fest. Saturday, February 2nd from noon to 8. Get a generous portion of fresh Dungeness crab with bread and side dishes and enjoy live musical entertainment. You'll be automatically entered in the drawings for some great prizes. Pre-sale tickets are $40 and are available from Greater Albany Rotarians, Albany Chamber of Commerce, the KGAL K-Show Main Studios in Lebanon, and Calapooya Brewing Company in Albany. The annual Crab Fest, Saturday, February 2nd from noon to 8. Support your community and enjoy the fun and feasting at the annual Rotary Crab Fest. Saturday, February 2nd from noon to 8 at the Atrium at Calapooya Brewing Company, Hill and Water in Albany.
It's a crab feed!
100 years ago, Woodrow Wilson became our 28th president. Henry Ford started the assembly line with the Ford Model T. The Mona Lisa was stolen and Charlie Chaplin began his film career. First-class stamps were 2 cents while gas was 8 cents a gallon. Adding to that list, the founder of Wilson Motors in Corvallis was born. That's right, Mr. Wilson is turning 100 years old this month and still comes to work 6 days a week. That's a great reason to have a sale all month long at Wilson Motors celebrating his lifetime achievement. No chances to win a free car, no scratch-off games to win, and no microwave sets. Just good old-fashioned sale prices on all vehicles marked down. No games and no surprises. All new Ford, Dodge, Chrysler, and Jeeps, and 130 used vehicles all on sale. Great prices and great selection. 100 years ago is when the famous Cracker Jacks box also began. So stop on by Wilson Motors in Corvallis and get a free box of Cracker Jacks to celebrate this landmark birthday. Who knows, you might even win a cool prize in your Cracker Jacks. But for sure you'll get the gift of savings all month long. Happy 100th birthday, Mr. Wilson.
Experience the Wilson way difference. Wilson Motors in Corvallis.
More Ink Printing in Albany. The same people and the same passion for printing and serving you.
I'm Mike from More Ink. At More Ink, we can make your presentations pop, your business cards connect, and your brochures become bold. Letterheads, manuals, menus, flyers, event posters, and programs. We do it all at More Ink.
Mike and his crew at More Ink are still around to get your custom projects noticed. More Ink on Sandy M Road in the Carriage House Plaza in Albany. Visit moreincalbany.com.
Call 541-928-2675 for More Ink.
Get tomorrow's news tonight. John Batchelor, Sunday through Friday nights on Smart Talk 1580.
Back on Valley Talk once again, talking to Valerie Walulis and Mark Fuller, and during the break, I learned something new that I hadn't been aware of. Now, the complications that arrived after the kidney transplant surgery when Valerie gave Mark one of her kidneys, Valerie had a complication, apparently even more serious than Mark, and Valerie almost died. What happened?
I had a lung collapse and pneumonia from complications of the surgery. Just from things they have to do for the surgery. So I basically quit breathing. I went into respiratory arrest.
And so you were in intensive care?
Yeah, so they moved me to intensive care for the rest of my time in the hospital, several days.
I hope this is not too personal, but so as you're lying there in intensive care, realizing you're recovering and fighting for your life, what's going through your mind then? I think, oh my gosh, why did I do this?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, you're just so wrapped up in wanting to recover, and, they're up there trying to get you to walk, and so I didn't really think of that. I had other people say, we're real happy about me, ending up in intensive care.
Valerie, why did you do this? Right, you almost killed yourself.
My family members, who were just kind of on pins and needles over it.
I'll bet there's a few people that said that and probably more. Probably things we can't quote on the radio here.
Right.
Mark, one of the things that I also just found out is you're carrying 3 kidneys right now. You're carrying the 2 old kidneys, and Valerie's new kidney is right in your front abdomen.
That's right. I'm carrying 3. They didn't remove the old ones because I think it was a little dangerous. So they just planted a new one in the front of me. It's like carrying something around.
Like carrying a little baby. Can you feel
Carrying a little baby, yeah.
So you can actually feel it. Can you see it if you pull your shirt up?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's the scar right there. I'm sorry this is radio, but... So, well, congratulations. It looks like you're the proud parents of a bouncing baby kidney.
That's exactly it. Thanks to Valerie.
Well, we're glad it's all behind us and hope it just stays positive from now on.
So the prognosis is good. Mark had to take anti-rejection. Apparently, Mark, you had some complications too.
Yes, I had a rejection for a while, and then they got me all taken care of. I had to stay an extra 4 or 5 days.
So what's ahead in your future?
Well, right now I'm just trying to recover, and I'll know that when I start feeling a lot better.
Well, thank you for being with us on Valley Talk. Good luck to both of you. It's great to see you here. You're both looking good. And congrats to Valerie. Thank you for the gift. And Mark, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have, listen for promos. We're looking at our show for tomorrow, the 24th. And looks like we're going to be talking to the Albany Regional Museum about a program they're doing to honor veterans. The history of the Veterans Day program in Albany since 1919. Louis is going to be with us on the show. And then we also have an RN that's going to come and talk to us about gluten-free and what it's like to live gluten-free. And keep listening for promos. If that changes, we'll let you know.
Locally owned and operated, this is the very independent News Talk 1580 KGAL, Lebanon, Albany, Corvallis.